Would you like to learn how to write a book for beginners? Well, I'm going to show you just a very simple action plan, just 12 steps. You're going to want to make sure that you stay tuned to today's video. Welcome to Self-Publishing with Dale, and this is where you're going to learn how to publish books that sell and build an unstoppable author brand. If you want to learn more about publishing your own books, make sure that you hit that little subscribe button. Turn the bell notification on so that way you don't miss a single video. Today's broadcast, big shout out to our sponsors, Thinkific. If you want to turn your book into an online course, then do it through Thinkific. In fact, start your 30 days free on the Pro plan when you visit dalelinks.com/Thinkific. You'll thank me on that one. Stick around to the end because we have 12 steps all in all when it comes to writing your book as a beginner. Now, you see it says 12 steps from a best-selling author. And this is not something I really commonly brag about, but I've actually hit the top of bestsellers lists multiple times and in numerous regions. I've hit everywhere from US to UK to Brazil to Australia to Japan, Italy, France, India. And it took a lot of work. I won't lie to you. There was much more involved than just the writing. So we're going to kind of take the whole best-selling status, and we'll cover that in a future broadcast. Today we're just going to focus on how to write as a beginner. And so I'm just going to start it out step by step. And the very first thing you're going to want to do is identify your audience. You hear me say this a lot, but I think there's far too many writers out there that are just writing for the sake of writing without knowing who their end user is. Who's going to read your book? Because when I wrote my first book, I decided to write it for everyone. And you know how well that book did? It didn't. It was horrible because I didn't identify my end user. I said, it's an exercise book and it's good for seniors and teenagers. No, it's not. The same advice you're going to give to a teenager, you're not going to give to a senior citizen. And if you're writing fiction books, there might be some people who are into, let's say, the traditional romance niche, but may not be into erotica. So you might want to kind of steer clear of those things. Know your audience before you start writing. That way there's no confusion. Step number 2, establish goals. Now this is going to be goals all the way across the board, from your daily to your weekly to your monthly and your yearly. Figuring out what is your end goal first of all, and then we're going to go ahead and work our way backwards. What are the bite-sized pieces and the specific steps it's going to get for us to go over to our end goal? Let's say we're trying to shoot for an epic length novel of 120,000 words. You're going to need to know how much work you're going to need to put in, when, and adjusting as you kind of go along. So get those goals out of the way. Don't think about how many copies you're going to sell or how you're going to be marketing. The only thing we're worried about is setting goals for getting it done. Don't rush through this portion. Set your goals up realistically and know that these are going to be goals. Once you kind of think of them almost as deadlines. So if you've got a goal of, say, doing 1,000 words per day, then you got to stick to it. So that way you have 30,000 words by the end of the month. Step number 3, schedule writing time. Okay, I said goals before, but we're going to actually take this one, even though it should be a goal. This is exactly what you need to be doing. You have to schedule time. Fail to plan, plan to fail. You've heard it so often, and if you're not planning this out and figuring out when you're going to be doing your writing, it will never come along. Something's always going to get in the way. So you have to put that time together. So when I was writing my first book, I always knew that, first of all, I had a full-time job. I also had my personal life that I was able to spend with Kelly. And then I also wanted to make sure that I wasn't taken away from any of the other things. So I got up 2 hours earlier than usual for almost a year just to sit down and churn out my first manuscript. And it was from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. I'd get up and I would only focus on that. So schedule that time. Nothing else matters. I want you to think of yourself kind of like an employee, and you're going to be the boss. How does your boss feel about you skipping time or calling in sick? Get in there, get it done on your scheduled days. Step number 4, choose the environment. Environment is everything. This is going to be real conducive to your creativity because, quite honestly, all of us writers are creatives. We want to create something, be it fiction or nonfiction. And the environment that you put yourself in is going to really dictate what you're able to do. If you put yourself, let's say for instance, in a bar, trying to write things, and it's loud and it's noisy, do you think you're going to get your manuscript done anytime soon? Probably not. Then again, if you get yourself into a library and it's quiet, maybe you don't function from a place of quietness, then it's probably a good idea that you probably should go to the library. Libraries work for me. But figure out what the environment's going to be that's going to be conducive to your creativity. For me, I typically like to put on a set of headphones, light music, just ambient, no singing, and I just chip out my specific part of my schedule and I sit down and I just work on it. No social media is on, my phone is off, I'm just focused on that. That's my environment. I can't do Starbucks. Kelly's all big about Starbucks. Step number 5, folks, select your tools. Okay, so let's just say, for instance, you're not a very good typist. Then chances are pretty likely your tool's probably not going to be a computer. You may have to get a notepad and a pen. But if you're a great typist, then you might need a laptop. Then we have to kind of dig a little deeper, knowing that whether you want to, say, use Scrivener, or you're using Microsoft Word, my preferred way of writing, or if you're just using, say, Google Docs to do that. Get all your tools in line and know exactly what you need ahead of time, because when you sit down to write, we need to have all these things in order. By the way, all these steps I'm giving you to are in the proper order, so take them each one step at a time. So, step number 6, draft an outline. All right, some of you pantsers out there are probably going to go lose your mind. You're like, oh, come on. Even some of the greatest pantsers out there write at least a very brief sketch of what they're going to be going through. So at least outline it. Now, if you're a bit more detailed, I'll typically take about an hour or so, even longer depending on the length of the book, to outline it and going point by point, so that way I don't miss anything and it's much easier for me to write everything out. Good friend of mine and Kevin Barry McGuire, he's the type of guy that will outline like almost an entire book full, but it helps him get through everything so much faster. Either way, know the direction that you're going, and the only way you're going to be able to do that is just at least put down, bare minimum, a basic outline of your work. Number 7, fire your inner editor. All right, your inner editor can come out later, but when it comes to actually writing the book, they're not welcome to the party. They aren't. It's one of those instances we don't want to have people coming in here and messing up our stuff. So these inner editors, not welcome. No, So that's going to be the thing, is really get it to where anytime you're writing. You're not editing. They're not welcome to the party. Bye-bye. Get out of here. Later on, they're going to come in good use. But when you're writing, not editing. Step number 8, lead with a hook. All right, lead with a hook. So important no matter what you're doing, nonfiction or fiction. Get some way that you can bring people in. This works even more importantly if you're actually publishing your content, say to Amazon KDP, they're able to do a look inside, and they're able to read the first portion of your book. This is a great time to grab their attention. If you're just doing it with kind of a fluffy intro, what's the likelihood of them actually sticking around or wanting to purchase your book? Let's pretend from a standpoint, you're distributing through Ingram Spark and it's inside a brick and mortar store. It's at a physical bookstore on the shelf. This is typically what I'll do. Pick that thing up, open it up. Sometimes I'll thumb through, but usually I go right to the beginning and I'll read the first couple of pages. You better hook me or I'm putting that book right back up on the shelf. Get it to where it's compelling. Give people a reason to stick around. And this is something I see a lot of indie authors doing wrong, to where they're coming in there, thank you for buying my book, or congratulations on buying this book. No, that's wasted time. That's wasted effort. Right now, you need to be hooking your reader. Step number 9, write from a place of passion. Say that 10 times fast. Readers can sense when you're bored. Readers can sense when you just aren't feeling it. And this is why I often tell people, if you're going to write a book, be passionate about it, because readers can sense when something's off. Whether it's subconscious or consciously, they're going to look at this and go, oh, it's kind of boring. If you're getting bored, chances are likely your readers are going to get bored. Go into it from a place of passion. That way, when you're writing it out, you can't wait to get to the next page. Oh man, I'm just excited about this chapter. Oh man, my outline, I got it set right here. Oh yeah, this is the part where I'm going to go ahead and do the big swerve. Things like that. Be passionate about it. Step number 10, take breaks. All right, so we're churning out our work. We've already done our hook. We're in deep. We're flying in here. One of the worst things you can do is forget to eat, get up and stretch, walk around, enjoy life a little bit. Yeah, you should schedule your time, but please don't do 10-hour intervals without getting up and taking care of yourself. It will help you from a mental standpoint and get it to where you can do this for the long term if you take breaks. Now, I'm not saying take a month break. I'm not saying take 2 weeks of a break. I'm just saying, like, when you're sitting down and writing, maybe every half hour, get up, stretch, walk around, take a drink of water, go for exercise, come on back, sit on down, and do another run. And this is coming from a former personal trainer. I'm telling you folks, it will do you some good both physically and mentally. And you'll find yourself being more than passionate about things when you're writing out things. Remember that last step, being passionate? Well, one of the ways we can do that is taking some breaks. That way you can really refill your willpower and get it to where you're continuing to be creative in your writing. Step number 11, finish big. All right, so I said we got to start out with a hook so we can get people on into that book and we can keep things rolling. But it's more important than anything else. Finish big. Make an impact, make an impression, because that last note you're going to leave the reader off on is going to make or break the difference of them going over to another book of yours or wanting to consume more of your content or become a raving fan. Always finish big. This should be, think of it like a firework display and how they always have the finale. This might take you a little bit of time. That's okay. This might take the longest amount of time when it comes to your rough draft. Take your time. Finish big. Make it memorable. Now, I'm not telling you for in fiction, like do something crazy, like kill off your main character and it makes no sense. You'll know what's going to be right for your manuscript in the end of things, but make sure it's big, make sure it's powerful, make sure it's impactful, and you're coming from a place of passion again. And then step number 12 is edit objectively. All right, so we've already wrote the book. Now it's time for us to go in. Let's open up that inner editor. We've kept him handcuffed and tied outside of our head. Now it's time to let him back in, and we're going to go buck wild on that manuscript. And I want you to go into it with absolute zero tolerance. You're going to go into this like this is the worst manuscript ever, and I'm going to show you why. Now, I'm not telling you to throw it away. We're going to have to work with what we have. And even though it might hurt to see that you have some mistakes in there, it's better you find that out before A, you send it to your editor or your proofreader, or B, putting it out into the market, which don't ever just write a book and just put it out into the market. Edit it for sure. And that's why we want to be objective about it to where, okay, here we go. Let's think about what's going to be better for this manuscript. So that was the 12 steps when it comes to writing your book for beginners. And some of you out there that are a little bit more experienced might use some of these tips. And if there was any one tip I might have missed, I would love to hear from you inside the comments. for free. So we're going to talk a little bit more about writing a book for free, and actually it's going to be down inside this next video here, so you're going to want to make sure that you click it. What are you waiting for? You're already watching me here. Figure out how you can do it for free down here. You wrote the book. Let's publish it. See you there. Take care, folks.